If you enjoy the content on this channel and would like to help me out with the production of more content for this channel, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, link in the description down below.
You there, eel woman, raise the jug! Play me the song of Rose Village! Folk songs. That's my horse?
Before we get into today's video, I'm going to address the fact that when I used footage from Spider-Man 2, the video game, in my last video, I completely ignored using the pizza theme from the Spider-Man 2 video game. And because that was such a perfectly missed opportunity, I will be using that music as background footage for this episode just because I love the meme so much. You have been warned. Hello everybody, this is SeetherCord and welcome to another installment of my SeetherTalks series here on YouTube. Today we're not going to be talking about a furry-centered topic for the vast majority of the episodes of this series on my channel, but today we're going to be talking about bronies for the first time ever. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I did bring up bronies quite a bit in one of my earlier episodes of the series. Wow, I'm super inconsistent. But anyway, yes, we're going to be talking about bronies and my thoughts on the My Little Pony fandom. Oh boy, this is going to be a big one. Before I give my opinion about the fanbase as a whole, let's go back and talk about my past experience with the fandom over the past 8 or so years. Back when the show My Little Pony Friendship is Magic was airing on the Hub back in 2010, I never really became a fan of the show until about late season 2, early season 3, I think. And I overall stopped watching it and I stopped being a brony back right after the season 4 finale. I never watched season 5. I saw the trailer for season 5, but I never went on to watching it. And the reason why I stopped being a brony and stopped watching the show altogether was just because of the fact that I was simply fed up with the fandom, and also because I was just bored of the show. It's weird because the show was very well written even up to season 4, but I just didn't think it was good enough to where it still kept my interests up until season 4. But first, let's discuss the show itself before I get into the fan base. The show overall is very well written. I like a lot of the character arcs. I think the continuity is really good in seasons 2, 3, and 4. I didn't really like it in season 1. And overall, I do think as time goes by, I actually don't really enjoy the first season that much at all anymore. But seasons 2, 3, and 4 I still think are pretty good, and they're still pretty good to probably watch a one-off episode from time to time. Now, when it comes to seasons 5 through 8, I have not yet seen it, but I have heard quite a few people say that it wasn't that good, or it doesn't get that good at all really until about season 8, where it starts to pick back up again a little bit. And all the major character plots and like what happens with the major story arcs past season 4, I don't know what happened. I just know what happened in season 4, but I don't know what happens after that. But with that being said about the show itself, let's talk about the fan base, because that's what the majority of you guys who are watching this video right now are looking forward to, about me talking about how freaking crazy this fandom is. Now, I admit I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit, but in my personal opinion, with being both in the brony fandom and the furry fandom for a good couple of years, and both of them individually, not being both mixed at the same time, I was in the brony fandom for about 3 years, and then I've been in the furry fandom ever since I left the brony fandom. And let's just say that I think the furry fandom overall has way more of a sense of maturity than the brony fandom has. Not saying that the furry fandom is made up of a lot of mature people, I don't think that, but it's way more mature in my opinion than the brony fandom is. And also, when it comes to handling criticism, I do feel that the furry fandom handles it a lot better, and I do see a lot more prevalent drama about the brony fandom happening within that community rather than the furry fandom. And I see a lot of this through YouTube with the brony analysis community, where I saw a lot of drama going on amongst the people who would review each episode of the show and analyze it. And also with a lot of it on Twitter. And I have heard things about how a lot of people in the brony fandom are getting into Twitter arguments with writers of the show, and even to the point where some of them are blocking each other on Twitter, which is kind of funny if you ask me, because of how ridiculous it sounds. And when it comes to seeing things like cringe compilations and cringe videos involving the brony community, a lot of it's very ridiculous, and not even just to the extent of being socially awkward, but to the extent of just not being really respectful at all in public anyway. Like, I remember I saw this one brony cringe video from a couple years ago where a bunch of these bronies went up to like, I think a Domino's pizza, and they were just basically harassing these workers to like go and draw like a My Little Pony character on the pizza box and like order a bunch of other ridiculous crap and just like holding up business. And I thought it was just very unprofessional and very rude and immature and inconsiderate.
3 months of winter coolness and awesome holidays. We've kept our hoodsies warm at home, time off from work to play. And we wanted Bronies thrown on the box.
Breadsticks and these 2 ponies.
And ponies drawn on the box.
Yep, that's about it.
These 2 ponies drawn inside the box. Right here. Inside the box.
On the inside cover of the box. Do your best to draw those 2.
Looking good.
Pretty awesome.
Heck, another case was me and my friend Alex, aka Lil Saw Plays, remaking the Telling My Dad I'm a Brony video, which is funny because some people still think that video was real, but in reality that was just him and I remaking another old Brony cringe video. But by the way, you definitely should go check that video out and give it a like, and check out my friend Alex's channel, by the way, that's pretty cool. And even with all the cringe culture involving with bronies and them being considered socially awkward, besides that also, it's just that I do feel like the brony fandom is just dying overall. I've heard a lot of rumors and people within the brony community saying how it's not as prevalent as it used to be, the show's not getting as much hype as it used to be, and overall just people in the brony community aren't as interested in the show or the community as a whole as they used to back a couple years ago. Which does seem kind of sad and disappointing, but at the same time, if you have a fan base based off of a TV show or a piece of media that's currently playing, eventually it's going to lose its traction and people aren't going to care about it anymore. The only few occasions I guess that could be exempt from that are maybe like our shows that go on forever, be it for like soap operas or shows like The Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park. But heck, even with those fan bases, they're not as prevalent anymore because the show keeps going on forever and ever and people still will lose interest over time. And that's why I do feel like the furry fandom is kind of different. It's kind of like more longer lasting than the brony community is because it's not based off of one individual piece of media. It's overall based off of people making their own media, not just this certain group of people, aka the people that created the show, making their own form of media out of it. And that's what I overall think of the brony community. Just, it's a community that had its traction, didn't really have a high opinion of it really whatsoever throughout the whole few years of me being in that fandom, wasn't really proud of being in that fandom overall as well, and just is a fandom that's eventually just going to become nothing because it's dying very much so these days. And it was a very impactful fan base in society with how much media attention and how much charity it raised through their conventions, so good on them for that. But that's overall it for this episode of SeetherTalks for today. Do you guys enjoy watching My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? Are you guys bronies? Do you hate bronies? Are you anti-bronies? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you enjoy my content and want to further help out my channel, please consider donating to my Patreon page, hitting that like button, turning on that notification bell, and subscribing altogether. I've been SeetherCord, and I will see you guys next time, so goodbye everyone. Bro hoof. Later guys. No wonder I don't have any friends. She could be shaving her vagina while typing it, you know.
Shaving her vagina! What the? Sir, I'm sorry, but I don't shave it. Like your face you can hide your face in it.
This is the Legion.
It's insulting. They're taking the show and bringing it to its lowest denominator, which is just such bullshit. I just thought it was insulting to me.